Hello, everyone. I think we're live. I think I timed that correctly. Welcome, everyone, to another political recap here on the Moisky Live channel. For this week, I am your host, Trups LP. And joining me, as always, is... I was about to call you a Squidbilly, but I realized that has an entirely different meaning. So I'm just going to say Omegon. Hello, Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
Hello.
I forget what the fuck a Squidbilly is now.
It's from that cartoon show, isn't it? The redneck
Yeah,
squids,
it
isn't
is.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a few. I remember I've been I've been called that a few times, and I've been linked.
Have you?
Yeah. Over the last 5.5 years, yes. Because I know about.
Oh, wow.
Is it Unknown Hinson? Is that his name? The actor who does the main voice.
Oh, I don't know. I just remember it was an Adult Swim
He
show.
looks like a freaking vampire. Is it Unknown?
It's weird. A lot of fucking random ass Adult Swim shows were just bizarre.
That one's one of them for me because I haven't seen any of the others. Yeah. But for me, I've been called that.
Clock was an Adult Swim show.
I'm not really against it, to be honest. It's amusing. And for those who heard the cork pop, I'm drinking Johnny Walker Green. If my friend Dave is watching, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because I owe him
as
3
you
bottles
do
of
with
it.
friends.
I owe him. Basically, when I moved back here in 2012, every year for 3 years, I bought him a bottle of it. But it's in my loft, and I don't know where it is. It's now 2020, nearly 2021, in fact, and I still don't know where they are. So
Good.
they're aging.
But I'm going to start off this stream by saying, please, if you're here, please smash that like button. I do kind of want to get more traction on this channel too. So that'd be nice. If you guys would be able to help us out with that, I would very much appreciate it. I'm sure Meg would definitely appreciate it.
I would like him also to go to your channel and subscribe.
Yeah.
I did make a video. I made a video this week. I made a video. Come on, I'm on it. I just didn't make as many because I didn't have the time. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I saw that actually. I was at work, but
I was being a bit of a twat, to be fair.
Now, before we get into like the other things that were going on in the title and whatnot, we were talking right before the stream. The U.S. House of Representatives just today has voted on a bill to decriminalize marijuana on a federal level. Now this is pretty good, honestly.
I do want to ask a question of this.
Sure.
I did notice the voter numbers. That's not many. Is it? That's not the full house, is it?
No, I think it is. It's
is it?
228 to 164.
Oh, right. So
close enough.
Okay, sorry, because I'm thinking UK. Our parliament's like 650. I thought maybe you'd have more congressmen or congress people. My apologies. Thank you for clarifying. It's just a low number, but if it is the case, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Total number in the House.
I should say, to those in the chat, we did talk about our positions for a long time. I have held the position of no, but I held it for a very different reason to what most would think. Mine was mostly, oddly enough, a health concern because I come from chemistry. There are some issues, but. When I had these arguments with other people, they'd always say, yes, but tax. We can make a lot of money. And I'm like, yes, great. Now keep it the fuck away from me, because if I smell it, I'm going to punch somebody. Because I can't stand any. I've never been a smoking fan. Don't care for marijuana. I don't care for any of it at all. I really don't. Over the years, though, my position has changed slightly to I don't give a fuck. Just keep it away from me. It seems reasonable. Respect my personal space. If you blow it in my face, expect to see through that cloud a rather large knuckle sandwich, which will be oddly.
Just don't be a dick. I mean, that's there's a funny fucking Vine.
Yeah.
That was it was a woman who was smoking some dude's face, and it was at a bar, and the guy takes some of his drink and then spits it back in hers. It's like, yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't. I know that others. Am I like? Yes, I do. Others will say what health concerns. That's a lengthy discussion, and I don't have my
There are people who have a semi-allergic reaction.
There are differing strains
cannabis.
as well. There are differing strains.
Yes.
I would need a Molly Mod kit present just to go through some of it, and I don't have one on me.
It is complicated, and there are some health risks, but they are on an individual basis, and for the vast majority of people, they are not affected as much.
So that's fine. I'm I'm very happy for America because and I mentioned that taxing. So Undoomed was the person I had this argument with, and somebody else had to diffuse the argument by pointing out that my concern was health related, and that's why I don't care about the tax. But with the tax in your country especially, that extra money is good. Also, it does deal with a bit of an issue you've got with dealers. And I think,
yes, it does.
And I think that's fantastic, because then they can just focus on the the war on drugs like meth and sherbet.
Jesus, but they just decriminalized it in one of the fucking Northwest states, either Washington or Oregon. They decriminalized some of the Schedule 1 narcotics like methamphetamine and crack cocaine, but they did it for the purpose, allegedly, for the purposes of trying to not give people criminal sentences for it, and so that they would be more willing to go to a therapy.
Right. Okay. So this is
which I get it, but that one I don't like the idea of like fully decriminalizing. I just think that we should take the criminal charge and have your sentence be therapy.
Okay. So sorry, I'm going to clear my throat again. Right. I will ask this question to everyone. If someone takes a drug, do we treat it medically? A drug that causes them harm. Let's go with that. Do we treat it medically, or do we treat it criminally? Now, if the law of the land says that drug is illegal, then yes, the answer should be criminal. But that's not how we should be treating it at all. I tend to take the stance of Matthew Perry, who had this argument with Peter Hitchens, yes, the brother of Christopher Hitchens, who, Matthew Perry said it should always be treated medically. Addiction to drugs is a medical problem. If these are illegal drugs, that's just completely secondary to the issue of fixing that person, or getting that person. I can't fix them, really. If they're an addict, they'll always be an addict. Get that person on the mend, which will lead them down a better path. You have to help them. I do, however, agree. There are certain circumstances where it crosses into criminal as well, though, which would then lead to sentences because of what one does. Yes, under influences and of course, their involvement with those drugs. And as far as Sargon having a kid goes, can we castrate him now? But it's a very, very, very intense debate. It's been had in this country for a better part of a decade, and most people longer, in fact, because people still think it should be treated criminally. And I'm not entirely, I'm not in favour of putting someone in prison for taking a drug. I want to make them not want.
Can be done. I think it can be done both ways.
I can agree. I can agree with that. It's just it depends. It really does depend on the circumstance. Much like people's reaction to certain drugs, it's circumstance based.
Well, the thing is, like alcohol based, right? If you get arrested for, let's just say, public intoxication, and it happens more than once, you can be sentenced to complete, a stint at AA, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a fair way to also do other such drugs.
Yeah. So
I mean, if you have to, do a piss test for weed, for instance, when you get caught with possession, then why can't you do it for other things? I mean,
yeah. So there is a reason I said it the way I did, and it's again that consistency. I care more about the person's health, which is always what I've said. Interestingly, though, I was watching. So just before I was here, I was watching an episode of The West Wing. Josiah Bartlett, the president in the show, pointed out some statistics, and his stats came from a gun control issue where someone in the episode being killed in Texas, and blah blah blah. He had an argument with his Texan VP, and he pointed out that death by guns, but guns are legal. Death by alcohol is legal. But death from marijuana is very at that time was zero. Obviously, it's not that now, and yet that's illegal, which is really strange, don't you think?
It is. And excuse me if you can hear that, but a large aircraft was passing over my house.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that came through on the fucking microphone, but it was loud as shit.
I did not.
Okay.
Your soundproofing is top notch.
Oh, fuck yeah, this pop filter, man.
Yeah. Not the sock over the mic, huh?
No. That would cause a lot of interesting static sounds, I think. And a lot of
Okay, that sounds fantastic. I'd like to listen to that guy for an hour.
absolutely. Top-notch production quality.
Yeah.
Something unusual with all of that though is I don't. I mean, I agree that we should treat it medically, and to one of Karma's comments, it's you can do things without you can do drugs without addiction. Yes, but it takes a certain kind of person to be able to act with that kind of responsibility, especially in the face of some of these more addictive drugs, especially if you have an addictive personality in the first place. Um,
Brain
you
chemistry
can come to these things a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think that things can be done both ways. I mean, obviously, when we prosecute criminally for drug possession or drug use, if they are in an overdose state, we don't just go, "You're sentenced, comatose body." That would be fucked. I mean, we do treat them to make sure they don't die.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it should be a medical thing. And I do get where Great Sky Troll comes from. Still my choice. I get that. The problem is that some drugs don't extend to just you. And there is a really like walking a fine line going through that that line of thinking. It would have to be really like based in case law or something like that to make a good argument. So I'm not going to do it now, but
Okay.
it is a thing that we can explore at another time once I've read up on it a little bit.
Okay, so this, I guess, affords us the opportunity to then discuss what happens to this bill next. Because it goes to the Senate, doesn't it?
Yeah, which is why most people are like, yay! Aw. Because, yay, U.S. House of Representatives passed this bill. But then, oh, right, the Senate, controlled by Republicans, not likely to pass it.
We should also point out the voting dispersal in this issue. On this issue, sorry.
Oh, right. It was all but 6 Democrats voted yes. All but 5 Republicans voted no.
Do we know
and
which states those Dems came from?
I'm sure I could find out.
If they're from more rural areas, that would kind of make you think, oh, they're kind of just lipstick Democrats.
It's possible that the Democrats that did are actually from places like Alaska, Minnesota.
Things
of that nature.
Not more progressive
more
areas.
Of the, well, not necessarily the progressive areas, but more of the like the rural areas, because even because House of Representatives obviously is representative of a certain district. So what you get is more of a representation of that area's constituency, and if an area of a red state is more blue, probably Texas, for example, is a good way to say that. Like the Austin, Houston area is a lot more blue than the rest of the state. You do have those things. I can find the breakdown.
No, that's all right. It's all good.
But it won't. It'll fall flat. Die in the Senate.
Yeah, it'll fall flat in the Senate anyway, which is unfortunate. For those who, of course, support legalization of marijuana.
I do support the thing of marijuana, and I've gone on tangents about it on this show before. The fact that it is a key component to minimizing seizures in children, as well as adults, Parkinson's, things. I think that putting it on as a Schedule 1 drug, which according to the law in which it was formed under, it has no medical benefit. I mean, that's strictly just not true.
I know, for example, we do have access to CBD oils in vapes and bath bombs and other such things to help with anxiety in this country. I had this. Who was I was discussing it with? Because my nephew has had seizures. He's like 4. He's barely communicative. He had some epileptic episodes, and the discussion of marijuana, CBD, and all this came up. And no, it can't be explored in this country. Sadly, he's only 4. They can't explore it on a kid, and they can't from. Oh, it was Karma. Thank you, Karma. I can't do it with a kid. It's simple as that. They can't do it. Also, the kid with the brain issues he has, they can't do it, which is unfortunate because it could help him. But the government also has these very hardline positions on marijuana in this country.
Right, and I don't necessarily know if it's a inherently conservative opinion to be anti-marijuana, but I know it's inherently establishment to be anti-marijuana. Because it's less that I'm concerned about how Republicans view it, and more like, okay, you've been in politics for 30 plus years, you have vested interest in other things.
It's like getting rid of tobacco. A lot of politicians are in with that. But no, in our country with Brexit, a lot of MPs and our former PM Theresa May, her partner has investments within the EU. So of course he wants to stay in because they mature better. And then we're talking tens of millions, by the way.
And that's really what it comes to. Great Sky Patrol, that's left over from Reagan. The war on drugs that was established in the 80s was.
I like Reagan.
I do too, but I think that he missed the mark on this one.
To be fair, at the time he did not. He did by today's standards.
Correct. At that time, there was a bigger issue at hand, which was actually also rooted in apparently systemic racism, according to the woke-tivists. I'm not going to doubt them on that one because it did have to do with basically crack cocaine in the African American communities around that time.
Yeah, I've had this discussion.
Any other details I'm not so clear on.
That's fine. Credible threat, Mark Drakeford. He's banned from 100 pubs in Wales. It's fucking hilarious. For the same reason, actually, of banning alcohol. I've had this discussion with others when they talk about politicians who, like the Winston Churchill thing. He's racist. Yes, by today's standards he is, but at the time, no, he wasn't. He was a guy in the 1940s doing exactly what white guys in the 1940s did. It's not. You can't make these arguments. I do think even when I was a younger guy, whenever I heard the war on drugs, I cringed.
I remember being in elementary school, hearing about the DARE program, and the DARE program itself, I think, contributed to more people getting involved with drugs than people were, dissuaded from using drugs.
Oh yeah,
it was what now to do what?
That shit was so fucking dumb. But you know what?
You tell a 12-year-old, it's like, wow, wait, this thing can make me do what now?
Can you say G Willikers, please?
Willikers, mister.
Fair play.
But yeah, that's basically all the situation with the drug thing. I wanted to bring it up because I thought it was an interesting tidbit before we got into some of the other.
We did just spend 20 minutes on it, so yes, it was definitely an interesting subject. If I'd known in advance, I would have put that on the thumbnail and not Adolf Hitler winning an election.
I was going to talk about that just briefly. So it was Namibia.
Yeah, Namibia. So Adolf Hitler Unona elected with 85% of the vote for a seat on a regional council in a former German colony. This is in a region where street names, people, places all still have German names. Now he prefers to be known as Adolf Unona. So he had he had to explain to a newspaper called Bild, which is a German one, that his father didn't understand what his father named him after Adolf Hitler, but he didn't know or understand what Adolf Hitler stood for. So as a child, it was seen as a normal name. Only when he became a teenager did he know that this man wanted to conquer the world. He should just call him the Brain. And so he won the ticket for the current ruling party in Namibia called SWAPO, which has ruled since independence in the 90s. That's it, really. But he also believes, because obviously how old he is, it's too late to change his name officially. I'll be honest, Adolf is a fine name. It doesn't matter. It's the Hitler part that fucks you. It's that part.
Correct.
Because
I would agree.
Adolf doesn't matter. Hitler, well,
Right.
I mean, interestingly, he's not new to politics, though. He's been a regional councillor for quite a long time, in fact, for about 15 years. So, regional councillor in my country is actually called a councillor. The next position up is an MP. Essentially, you're like, I don't know what it'd be for you. What is the step below a congressman?
You would be a state senator or a state.
Are they?
I don't know. You could call them representatives, I guess.
Well, they're the ones that have no real legislative power.
Yeah, but we don't really have that.
Okay, your republic's weird. But anyway, so he's
advisor. That's about it.
That's fair. I mean, he's been dealing with some companies sending people to Germany to do training, internships, job attachments. He's actually been very proactive, which is fantastic. But he is the single grumpiest face I've ever seen. It took me ages to find a smiling face of him. He looks like a freaking psycho, which is amazing. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm going to archive the article. I kept forgetting to archive an article on this. I'll archive it and I'll put it...
Native. Adolf, for $2, Adolf's contemporary Adolf Dassler did great things.
Yeah, this one isn't...
I don't understand.
Adolf's contemporary Adolf Dassler.
I don't understand.
Thank you for the $2 donation. That's incredibly generous of you. Why did
that?
Okay, sorry. Dare donated $5 to you. There is a message, but it's hidden behind the super chat message.
Hang on, I'll look.
Yeah, sorry about that, people. Thank you, whoever it was, Dare, that donated the $5 to Trups. That's very kind of you.
Thank you.
I spilled whiskey.
I do see it. It's I see the two things that went over.
Yeah. Bit of a mess though, isn't it?
Yeah, $10 says it was karma.
Thank you, karma.
But anyway, yeah, there wasn't really much to that story. It was kind of just like that's an interesting thing.
I saw it all over Twitter and I was like, I could do a video on this, but I think I'll save it for Friday because I can't be asked with Brexit.
Right.
I will, once it's finished archiving, I will put it in the chat for those who are interested. I'll actually call it the Adolf article. That'd be easier, won't it?
Smash like to end the war on drugs was the message.
Oh, right, so it was you, Karma, was it? You've asked yourself, Dare. How dare you?
Yes, thank you. Yes, smash like to end the war on drugs.
If only that worked in, like, the 90s and 80s. Yep.
True.
That would have been fun.
So, now we have... Now we have the U.S. election investigations. Right. Yeah, big sigh.
Oh, this is such a mess. How many have been thrown out?
How many have been thrown out? Total? I think we're looking at 40?
Of how many, though?
So when you say thrown out, what I'm referring to in the number is lawsuits that have been done not on behalf of Trump, but on Trump's side, not from his lawyers per se, because the lawyers have only brought up 3. But there have been others who have brought up election fraud that they have seen, or impropriety, or things they just wanted to raise red flags on, all that stuff. In terms of lawsuits, he is 141 according to the left-wing media outlets. I don't know how much that actually ends up meaning, however, because what that means in the long run is that you get him to the Supreme Court. Okay, native. He made shoes. Adidas. Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's a good dude. Oh, Adolf Dassler. I see.
I'm glad you got there.
My brain did not work, but you know what? If we are persistent, we can make it work.
Yeah.
But the oh God, the election investigations have been an absolute fucking clusterfuck. But you know what's interesting is that every day that there's another goddamn investigation or another hearing, we miraculously find out so much more information. It's almost like if an investigation was held, we would be able to find out everything. For example, one of the things, Georgia, for instance, and that's the hot topic for today because Georgia's hearing was yesterday. They released a video that was part of a lawsuit that had a woman who was basically the supervisor of the Fulton County counting area, right? One point told them all to go home. It was 10:30 or so, or 10 o'clock, and they didn't leave till 10:30. And at 11 o'clock on a security cam footage, you can see this woman as well as several select other poll workers who are still there at this point, despite having told everybody else to go home, including poll watchers and other workers, pulled out ballots from underneath a table and proceeded to then count.
Yeah, that's not a good look. I think no. I'm hoping there's a valid explanation for that. I'm not too sure what that's, because I don't know how your election votes are done, counted, and all that. I don't know if it all has to be.
That's not how it works.
Right, so I have to get clarification on that because it's not within my.
Right. Yeah, so, first of all, telling everybody to go home, poll watchers and media included, means that you're trying to do at least something unwatched, usually, right? And then, yes, Disconar sent this article to me actually this morning.
Well done, Disky.
You had basically a select few amount of people still there. Mm-hmm. The security cam footage, by the way, shows that the same person who told everybody to go home also was the person who placed that box underneath that table at 8:22 a.m.
Right.
Every other set of ballots that came in during that day all came in and were placed to the side of the table, came in from a back room or a side entrance, or basically from an election official to hand off to the counters. At no point was there ever ballots pulled out from underneath a table that otherwise was not known about. So basically, some people have already said, I don't know where those ballots came from. And also, they said that those boxes could probably hold about 6,000 ballots apiece.
Okay.
And that the machines can process about 3,000 an hour. So, at a certain point, you have to wonder, with also lesser workforce, they were able to bang out numbers in support of Joe Biden that exceeded the numbers that they had counted that day for Trump. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but if you can work X amount of ballots an hour with Y amount of people, more people, you should be able to get through more ballots. How is it that less people got through more ballots? That's not how this works. It's not like, I went home, I got a drink, or, I stepped outside to smoke. Now I'm working at like 300% capacity, and now I can do all of the things. Like, No, I'm sorry, that's not how this works.
No.
Not physically possible. Not likely. No. This bad boy can't fit at least 60,000 Biden votes. I think they just looked at swing counties and were like, yeah, we can get X amount in here. And that was the office that was meant to have a busted pipe, which also was a lie. So Fulton County also had reported somewhere in the middle of the day that day during election counting that a water main break had occurred. You want to know what it actually was?
Go on.
A toilet had a slow leak.
That was it.
That was it. There's a really fancy thing at the bottom of toilets, by the way. You can screw it a little bit tighter, and water can no longer come through that pipe.
Huh.
I know. God forbid the Democrats running that poll site knew how to do anything. Alas, here we are. So you have now several of very strange circumstances coming out of Fulton County. That's the Atlanta area, by the way. You have a lie of a water main break that was found to be incorrect, and then you had this issue of, oh, go home, everybody. We're gonna resume counting tomorrow morning at 8:30. Except for you guys, we're going to keep counting the under-the-table ballots, which even saying the under-the-table ballots sounds sketchy.
It does a bit, yes.
Not like in the closet ballots would probably have been funnier and less threatening, but under-the-table ballots, if anybody recognizes the term under the table, it's that which you don't report. You paid on the table, it means you're not reporting it to the tax man. So, yeah. You have a whole bunch of people who are doing some shady shit. Unfortunately, this is where it becomes really, really shitty. These votes are counted. Then they are sorted into the piles of counted ballots. So, should anybody like to then perform a recount? Now we have ballots from under the table that are now not separated out and in fact are in with the regular ballots. So we have an issue now with now we can't even audit these ballots individually, because let's just say that we could. Oh, we wouldn't have to disenfranchise voters. We wouldn't have to doubt the rest of it. If they were sorted out, then we wouldn't have to worry about it. But they weren't. They were counted into the mass amount of ballots. Now, why would somebody then do that? Of course, they're not doing it necessarily for auditing purposes. They would have to be doing it for another reason, which, depending on how skeptical and how conspiracy person you are, you get the point. And the fact that no one was there to watch it is the biggest red flag. Yes, I almost guarantee you that whoever was running that poll site did not know that there was a security cam watching them.
I just want to quickly point out Garrett's message in the chat. I want to remind everyone that robust safeguards help ensure the integrity of the election and results. This is what's being investigated, I believe. So,
I'm sorry, do that again?
Garrett's message in the chat. Read that.
I want to remind everyone that robust safeguards help ensure the integrity of the election and results. So that no, the other one. That's on the bottom row. It's funny that you mentioned robust safeguards. Says who? Because if you remember in 2000, we had a contested election, Gore v. Bush, where paper ballots were disputed, right? Because of hanging chads, things that weren't punched all the way through. And then you had a judge, essentially, that had to make the call whether or not those were intentionally punched or not. So the robust safeguard is a judge going, I guess. The other robust quote-unquote safeguards that ensure the integrity of the election results, what about 2016, right? The Democrats cried foul for 4 years about the integrity of the election and the results. You mean to tell me that those robust safeguards just went away when the Democrats lost? Drinks beer. I find that hard to believe.
Hang on. Is it under the stream? I don't see it.
We have a thing that says robust safeguards help ensure the integrity of elections and results. Learn more.
Oh, I don't see that under my end. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't know that. I thought it was, that's why I queried, because it wasn't. That's why I queried, because it's not on my end.
Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
That's why I mentioned it, because it obviously isn't a thing on my end.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious about this right now because.
Thank you for raising that, Garrett. Then I greatly appreciate that.
Votes are being cast on behalf of dead people, and these votes are being counted. That's the rumor, apparently. Hold the fuck on. Are you telling me that the evidence that we have found that says that at least one, right? Because you said none. You said this is not happening. So if at least one is happening, you're wrong. Are you sure you want to go with these totality comments? Like, God damn it, guys. No, the reason why they're doing this, the reason why they're so hard pushing that we have robust safeguards to ensure the integrity of elections is because if we appear weak in our election security, it means that other countries can take advantage. And it poses a national security risk to say that we are we don't have security in our elections. This is really why people haven't the establishment has tried to downplay it as much as they have. In the case of the 2016 election, the real reason why they said Russia hacked the election is, oh, actually, the U.S. election system was perfectly fine, but you see, this quote-unquote hacker group, they proceeded to buy ads in Facebook space and play play out a whole bunch of misinformation, which has nothing to do with our voter system, but in fact, it's international influence on our elections. So that's really what was up to debate here. It has nothing to do with the actual integrity of the election. But that was the wording, that was the verbiage that they used for 3 years, that our integrity of our election is under siege by foreign actors, like in China, like in Russia, like in Iran, right? That was what they said. During 2016, there were reports of broken ballot machines. Also true. And to be honest, it's run by the government. Why is anybody surprised? I mean, for real, guys, if you've ever been either related to or known somebody who has gone through the Veterans Affairs system in our country, the system that basically handles all of our veterans and their medical care, you tell me that the VA works perfectly. Like, it works all the time and the best of the best. It's not. I had a professor in college who made such a big stink about the fucking voter machine thing too. No, I don't disagree that Russia did tamper with the election. I just don't think that it was as bad as they said it was. Kind of like what the Democrats are saying now when it comes to actual election fraud. But I had a professor in college who basically said all these things about basically voting machines and how easily it is for them to be hacked. I think I mentioned it last week too. And we're finding out every day, every time we have another hearing, that the Dominion system was foolproof. It can't be messed up because it uses this USB drive system to take it to point A to point B. Oh, some USB drives are missing. Well, it's okay. We still have a robust system. What's most important is that it's not connected to the internet. It was connected to the internet. Okay, well, you know what?
Sounds a bit like
like every time they say something, it just the next day there's another thing that says, "Well, actually, that's not how it went."
I like how the chat are very much animated on the subject, because there are some very conflicting bits of information here and there, isn't there? And there's comments here about 2016 from Bonk Boy worth addressing, I think. Broken ballot machines and
there were
FBI documents about Russia tampering with the election. It's a very real thing. Wasn't that discussed in the Mueller report?
Yes. Okay. So and we had talked about it. It went through in that Mueller report how there was a group that had done targeted basically cyber infiltration into certain places. I think they were called the GRU, if I remember correctly.
The GRU.
You remember that word? Remember when we were talking about it?
Yeah,
Because I made a joke about it.
I remember.
So there were things about the fact that the Russians did, in fact, tamper with the election, but not nearly to the point that, oh, well, Hillary Clinton would have just completely been blown out of the water. I mean, the other truth of this is that people hated Hillary. They thought that she was literal evil.
She's not.
Kind of like how Democrats feel about Trump. And actually, the fact that the machines have a working USB port at all is a huge security risk. It is. You're right. The fact that USB drives at all are used is a total breach of security. Not only should you, if you were going to go full cyber security on this shit, should you never connect this thing to the internet. And if you do, you better damn well make sure that you're connected to a DMO or some other government network. Only, like, it's a closed network, right? No access to the outside world. And then USB drives have to be specific coding USB drives that are accessible only to people who know the passcode and that are held by individuals with a clearance. Because if we're going to go full, fully cyber secure on our elections, every poll worker needs a clearance. If we're gonna go that route, that's what I recommend, because all those people, first of all, FBI background check. Then you have to have people vouch for you, and some other shit. And everyone needs a clearance so that they have to go through this cybersecurity training every fucking year, right? And they have to be personally held responsible if they actually do allow for incorrect behaviors. Because once you sign that you agree to have a clearance and you will make sure that X, Y, and Z is fulfilled in terms of cybersecurity, you are held personally liable up to, I believe, 7 to 10 years in prison. So if we really wanted to go full cybersecurity, it's not hard to find people with clearances.
No?
It's not. No, absolutely not. We have businesses all across this country who do business with the government. It's actually a really good selling point in the United States if you have had work that requires a security clearance. It actually can secure you jobs because of that. Because they also know that you are not only one who is going to follow the rules, but should that company also have a project that requires a clearance, you're the guy.
So what's going to happen now with regards to a lot of the cases that are coming forward?
So the weirdest situation right now, okay, there are two weird situations, and that's why I've harped on. One of them is Georgia, and the other one is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a very interesting constitutional argument before it, saying that right now that mail-in votes, the way that they are handled, are blatantly unconstitutional based on the Pennsylvania Constitution. And what's really interesting about that is that technically they're right. in order to do this, to change this constitutional thing, you have to introduce an amendment, which the Pennsylvania state Republicans started that process, and then they dipped out on it halfway through, and then just passed it as a bill, which is technically unconstitutional. You're not allowed to do that. So on the merits, that at least is correct. However, the Pennsylvania legislature has said that they are not going to be in session again until January 4th. Well after signed electors.
So what happens?
Apparently, and I haven't watched the news on it since I've been on this show, but apparently they may be calling an emergency session, which is the correct response
to something that.
Well, no. No, you don't. Emergency sessions is kind of like, hey, all hands on fucking deck, something went wrong.
Okay. I guess the more obvious question is, this is 2 states.
Yes.
That can't be enough to swing it.
No, I don't believe that it is.
So where are the rest of the points coming from?
If I remember correctly, Pennsylvania has 20 electoral votes. And Georgia, I believe, has 16. So that makes 36 votes stripped away from Joe Biden. I'm going to look up the election results real quick.
I thought Biden was over even without.
Yes, okay. So that would be 16 and 20. Those two would bring Biden to a clean 270.
Okay.
So they would need at least one other state to be contested. Now, we have places like Michigan, like Wisconsin, like Nevada, and like Arizona that are still having some issues working out their respective voter fraud allegations.
Okay.
The ones that have the most merit, in my opinion, are the ones that that are in Pennsylvania and Georgia. A lot of these judges have thrown out the cases in other states because the amount of fraud wouldn't have done enough to overturn the results of the election, which I think is horribly partisan. And it shows that they don't want to admit that something went wrong. Right? Of course, if you are a representative or you work for the state, you're going to want to say that the state is perfect, that the state does nothing wrong, all these things. Of course, you're going to say that. But you also, as a judge, have an obligation to the truth. And if you can't do that, then you should be disbarred. Are those rulings being appealed? Yes. All of them are. All of the rulings, as far as I'm aware, that have any kind of grounds or merit are being appealed. If they ran into issues with, like, judges dismissing it outright, I believe they are trying to push it to Supreme Court.
Right. I have another question. If one state is proven to have voter fraud committed, if one, does that change the nature of this election at all, in the sense of will there be a do-over or something?
Okay, so
you know what I mean?
The only way you do that is if the legislatures of different states call the election in their state into dispute. At which point, then the legislatures, essentially, if they vote that this is in dispute,
right,
then the electoral votes from that state will not be applied to the total. If that amounts to nobody getting 270, then the legislatures themselves will appoint electoral votes to the candidate they choose. What's really interesting about all of it, right, is if there is one state out of all of them that I want to see proof of voter fraud, it is Georgia. And the reason why is because I made a post earlier today and I tagged a whole bunch of other creators and no one ever got back to me. But the question was, if voter fraud is found conclusively in Georgia, does that mean that the Senate runoff election that is to happen doesn't need to? Because right now you have the Senate hanging in the balance of Georgia and a runoff election that is slated for early January. If Georgia is found to have fraud, then those senators will likely have, well, if they find fraud, depending on how they find it, whether by signature verification or otherwise, which Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia has ordered now. He didn't order it before. He ordered it now. Fuck you, dude, by the way. If those ballots are thrown out, does that change the margin of victory for the Republicans? Because remember, everywhere else in the fucking country went red. Almost all of the House legislatures are red. It doesn't matter if Biden won, Bunk Boy. That's not the point. My point is that if the Senate is held by Republicans, I feel less bad. Like, I will feel a little bit more comfortable with Biden getting the presidency if the Senate can still stop them from doing stupid shit.
I just want to throw in now. I don't care who wins. I really don't. If one state, and this is another point I didn't raise, I wanted to. If one, so much as one, comes up with election fraud, Biden, even if sworn in, is seen as illegitimate.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's going to be seen as illegitimate no matter what.
I don't want an illegitimate president for you guys. I want this to be investigated thoroughly. For it to all, I'd like it to be a clean result. Quite frankly, if it is, late. I know, but what I'd like, because I'm an idealist apparently, I'm a glass half full person. I don't want there to be any issues, but there were 4 years ago, and it was all unproven. This time, it's yet to be concluded, so I will not offer an opinion and say it is. I mean, Trump's can because he's American; he's allowed to. He's my far right extremist. Remember, everyone. It matters because even if we recognise your president, if it's Biden, although I have seen plenty of interviews already with him and Senator Harris. Sorry, Vice President-elect Harris.
Galactic Empire. Fucking Kamala Harris.
I know.
That outfit was fucking awesome, dude.
I know.
The sci-fi in me was just so happy to see that outfit because it looked like a goddamn Borg leader, dude.
I should, just for the sake of it, the reason why is because I can't be asked to remember how to pronounce her first name. The potential VP elect, they're doing TV interviews, they're all over this. But if one state comes back as fraud, just one, I'm sorry, but I can't
take that as fucking victory.
Exactly. Trump can lose, but he can lose knowing that they had to cheat. They still win, but cheating had to happen, and that's the point. That's the big takeaway. To get rid of a non-politician who won to prove a point about corruption in politics, you had to use corruption in politics. That's all. And I'm sorry, mainstream media, which are all on his against him. Which I'll be honest, they are. It's not, I'm English. I'm sorry. I see this very bluntly. I'm sorry, but they can try and paint it any other way. But one state, and I'm sorry, your president becomes illegitimate. He'll only get, and he might get a second term if he's lucky, but he won't see his first term out. I'm sorry. It's very insulting. And I know Karma's right. There's always cheating, But if it's proven on this stage in your election, I'm sorry, that's bad. So I want these.
It's terrible. We can't. We literally. If we could say, right, without a shadow of a doubt, that no election fraud happened, that it was true that Biden just won, right? Cool. We just lost. All right, that's fine. It happens. We lose, man. Right? But the issue is that there's too much coincidence that even the biggest fucking pleb on the planet wouldn't go, something about this feels wrong.
So there is additional what is it? Oh, I just had it in my head and it went.
I'm sorry.
No, it was something about Biden. Oh, right. The current party message from the Democrats is healing or unity or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
If one state comes back with this, what the fuck does Joe Biden do to fix that? How does he address it? How does he? How does he offer to heal?
There's no unity. There is no unity. There will be no unity. Because, and this was the thing that I sent you earlier, there are people who are literally calling for Donald Trump to impose martial law to force an investigation to happen into this election, to postpone inauguration, to postpone all of these deadlines so that people can do this, so that people can find out for real without a time limit that this was real. And there are people who have said on Twitter, with the actual with this call to arms, essentially they said, say the word and I'm there.
Okay, Native, I took the over of plus or minus 18 months before Joe steps down. Oh right, how long before he simply abdicates the throne? Yeah, I'd heard about this. That would mean, though, if he did it in under 2 years, then VP Harris hypothetically.
That's funny. Will lead to the Pelosi sitting in the White House. Not
right. No, let me just finish though. So based on what I remember, she would only be able to run for one additional 4-year term because it's over 2 years. I remember this for what was his name? Is it Gerald Ford? I can't remember. Somebody couldn't run for a second full.
So
I couldn't do more than 8 years.
That was because the person who Ford took. I don't think it was Ford.
No, it wasn't. It was somebody. It was someone else, I think. But I remember the rule was.
It was the vice president who took over.
Yeah, it might have been Ford from Nixon. So if you do more than 2 years, then you are served. That's considered one term. You can only serve 8 years in total. Therefore, you cannot run for additional 4-year term. Which is what if Harris took over, she'd only be able to do one election. That would be it. And the same would apply to Pelosi at that point if she was
well, the thing is, every changeover of the House and Senate elects a new speaker.
By the way, I only know this because of the West Wing.
Bunk boy, certified red doesn't mean much of anything. Certified blue doesn't mean much of anything. It does. If the election is called into dispute, then the state house legislatures are the ones who will then appoint electors. And it has nothing to do with the vote. They get to choose who they send and what vote that ends up being. That's why it matters. Come on. Read. You can do it. I believe in you. Learn. But that's the issue right now. But I'm more worried about the Senate, because the whole premise before that whole martial law thing happened was Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell basically saying, "Don't vote in Georgia's election because if it was cheated, it's gonna be cheated again anyway," which I happen to at least agree with, but I disagree highly with not voting anyway. Oh my God, never. Especially in a situation where this literally, like, all branches of the government minus the Senate, minus the judiciary, hangs in the balance of Georgia right now. Because if Georgia can elect 2 Republican senators, then Republicans maintain power of the Senate, which means that you still have a split Congress, which leads to a little bit more of a steadfast deadlock. I get that, but it also means that you don't have total control in the bill passing and lawmaking process all the way through. Certified blue-red doesn't mean voting for your own party if you don't agree. Yes, it does. You refuse to accept that. Seriously, look it up.
Right, I've returned. What have I missed?
I was basically going off, saying about like the Senate, how if you have the split Congress, yes, I understand there's a bit more of a deadlock when it comes to legislation, but you have other situations where if the Democrats win and they have full control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, then lawmaking becomes streamlined.
I just want to quickly address Bonk Boy's comment. I would agree that is a very good position to hold. In the UK, that happens on a regular basis. In the US, and I say this after watching for the last 4 years, that's never how it goes. It's down party lines. It's why they impeached Trump. It was entirely party lines. Even though the evidence proved he was not what they said. The Mueller report proved
we have split ever since our inception. We have split further and further from the other side.
It's kind
no
of
matter
tragic.
what side you're on, Democrats and Republicans, even when they have changed their names and been different parties, over time they have split further and further apart to the point where partisan lines, if you reach across the aisle, you're considered a defector. You're considered a traitor.
In this country,
the fact that Dianne Feinstein hugged Lindsey Graham became a fucking Twitter storm of people calling Dianne Feinstein a fucking traitor. They've been in Congress together forever. They're friends. They disagree.
Yeah, but that's something in my country, that's fine. It was a bit more split when Corbyn was in, because he was very much, I won't talk to any of you ever kind of guy, because he's a tosser. But it's sad that that's the way things are. How people see it. It's all about the optics and the sound bite, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. There is nothing in this world that, at least in this country, that we have. We can say that we have bipartisan support for anymore. Mm-hmm. I used to say that 9/11 was something that we had bipartisan support for, but ever since Antifa actually defaced firefighter memorials from 9/11, I can't say that that's true anymore. Which is truly a sad thing, and I'm not happy to be able to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have extreme defund the police and defund basically the government.
Oh, hang on, defund the police. I saw that on Twitter because Obama said not to say it, didn't he?
Yeah, he said don't say it, but still do it.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
What a fucking dick.
Bit strange. I don't know much more about that because I didn't click the. I was too busy working on videos. But I saw it at the top of my trending, and he got shit for it, for saying don't say defund the police. But I don't know much more beyond that. I thought that's quite interesting.
There really wasn't much else beyond that, honestly.
Okay.
Because what you ended up having was basically he said, "Don't say that; it's bad optics." But like, just do it.
I think it's a bit strange for a guy who'll have, until the day he dies, he'll have, security details on him for the rest of his life. Talk about defunding the police. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, isn't that convenient for all the people who will say defund the police that they all have a, that they have a private security detail, of course. Bong Boy, I appreciate that. I will look up more information on different votes from certified parties. There have been politicians that vote away from their parties. That is true. I'll get more information on. That's all I can ask of you, and I really appreciate you saying that. Because all I really want is people to be informed and not just regurgitate information that they have either seen on TV or heard on the radio. I want them to actually look up and find out for themselves.
And
so
I
really
just want my right-wing extremist co-host to convert all of you. Yes.
Well, I mean, I just want people. I just want people to have other things in their fucking in their tool belts besides. Don Lemon said so.
Actually, a quick thing, Garrett. The media certainly isn't helpful in healing the split because they won't. If Biden is sworn in, they'll go back to the way things were, that equilibrium where they can just espouse their nonsense. It's interesting, actually, you mentioned this media healing the split because the first thing I noticed was some of the more prominent former anti-SJWs, Comrade Boot on Neck, for example. Has already been dumping on Biden for some of the ideas, and I'm like, hang on, you voted for this, you voted for the fucker, you moron, and now it's like, but I voted for the lesser of two evils, yeah, that bullshit, and now I don't like the other one, I didn't have a fair choice. You did have a fair choice, you chose Biden, and this is what you get. If you don't like what he introduced, why did you vote for him again? Oh, that's right! Orange Man is bad! Fantastic.
Yeah, and that was really the platform of CNN and a lot of major media industry was Trump's bad. You know, he's like literally Hitler.
The thing is, that the last 4 years has given them immense traffic and relevancy. If Biden is sworn in, actually, I'll be honest, it'll start to go down again because people will become less interested in politics. This election reignited interest in politics. People say it's the new generation of voters. That too. Don't forget the last generation were some of the most apathetic, last decade I think it was, towards politics because they felt their vote didn't matter. This time it mattered a lot, but that doesn't mean they'll stay engaged. And I'll be honest, if the media, with the issues facing many media outlets at the moment, yeah, don't expect them to be around too much, getting much more attention when people are turning their attentions towards, well, new media, I guess. Well, not even new media, is it? It's alternative outlets.
But you notice how hard that the legacy media, as it's called, has tried to downplay the benefits of alternative media. Yeah. I mean, just think of it. Like, think of how like people will respond in terms of arguments. Like if you ever have a conversation with like a real person, like in person, they will tell you, oh, what, you're going to send me a YouTube video of some person's half-baked opinion on politics? And, you know, for at least part of it, that's true. There are commentators, I'm not going to exclude myself because I think that some of my opinions are half-baked, but not as much as people think that they are. I do actually read. But people have said that the individuals on alternative media don't mean anything because they're not fucking, you know, quote unquote real news. So I mean, even trying to, you know, displace the legacy media is sometimes a fight just to get a foot in the door. Mm-hmm. And that's not even like necessarily like a foot in the door, like in acting or anything like that. It's a foot in the door in terms of just being acknowledged as a reputable source. Tim Pool has such a hard time ever since he like left major media of being considered real news. And you know, he's got plenty of fucking credentials to be basically whatever kind of media source he wants to be. Mm-hmm. But the media doesn't give him anything. Luckily, because he worked for the media, they have to give him credit.
They'll never.
But that's the life that we live right now in this country.
Well, they won't give much of that to Mr. Trump, will they?
It's also because Tim Pool's a twat. I like him. I mean, you don't have to. I do.
I don't watch Tim Pool, not because I don't want to or anything, it's because I don't have
better
time
than
to.
Sophane.
I don't have time to watch many creators.
Fuck you, Sophane.
He has a bit of a hate bone.
Unblock me, you pussy bitch.
He blocked. Oh yeah, he did that recently, didn't he? Blocked all the people. He
blocked me like half a year ago.
Oh wow, you got there soon. I think he finally went around and went
to
his mute list.
I got blocked because I told him that communism was full of shit.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Unblock me, you bitch.
He won't.
I know. As I said previously.
Okay.
Because pussy bitch.
Okay.
Right. Like, I don't expect much from aforementioned pussy bitch.
So I'm detecting some anger here.
It is salt. It is salt, but mostly because come on, you talk such a big game, but you won't have the common decency to actually have a conversation about it. What kind of shit is that? I sit here waiting for anybody to tell me off because I'll do it in the chat. I'll do it in fucking shows.
The nature of the game. Sadly, the nature of the game and the principles that we all held 4 years ago aren't the same anymore, which is unfortunate. I would love to see these debates happen, but they won't. I don't know.
Because pussy bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry, and also, like, I've been playing MMOs lately, so I've been shit-talking, like, the opposite faction way too much, so now I'm just, like, amped up to other people.
I had noticed.
Yeah, usually I'm not that bad. Usually I don't have that much, like, aggression towards people who disagree or who are on the other side of me, but, like, come on, man. It's gonna be good.
Alright. Anything else you'd like to talk about with this?
No, I think I'm good. But I guess that would be the end of the show then, wouldn't it?
It would, yes.
All right. So, you said you had put out a video. Is that is that something you would like to shill at this time?
If it is, I can't be bothered to go get the link. Exhibition of Stupid People, number 79. But I'm working on a video for, I don't know, every day until Christmas Day, I guess. So I'm basically I'm going balls deep on this. So expect content tomorrow. It's a Halls of Injustice, I think, or Twat. I can't remember.
Twat's supposed to be today usually.
Normally Twat's on Friday, but I've had other things that are bigger hitters come out this week, so everything got pushed back a little. So I'm just working my way through the things I've already got. So just if you're interested, the channel Omegon, there's content going to be there every day now for the next. How many days? I don't know. 17 days? Yeah. Also, streaming on Omegon Plays tomorrow evening, some Euro Truck Simulator if you're interested. I know it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have anything to show, though I may end up having a video talking about this marijuana thing, and I kind of just plan to rant about my opinions on marijuana and how it honestly should be legalized. So if you want to hear me rant about drugs, I should have that out sometime by the middle of next week. So
link to his channel in the description down below.
Yes,
that was it. Yeah.
But without any additional information that we have, then I'm going to say good night to everyone in the chat. I appreciate the discourse. I appreciate even the people who disagree with me for being here. It does actually help, and it does make the conversation a little bit more interesting. So I do appreciate you. But other than that, I think we are done for the evening. And say good night, Omegon.
Good night, Omegon.
Good night, Omegon.